I got a bite!
Do it. Bring the line back. Bring it back.
There you go. Keep going.
All right, Riley.
Ken Jones. I wrote the book Pier Fishing in California, and I'm kind of considered by some, I guess, as the head pier rat because I know so much about piers and I fish so much piers. I fished every pier in California. If you become a true pier rat, and then when I say that, that's a person that goes out to the piers all the time, you need to have a pier cart because this stuff is heavy and hauling all this stuff out to the end of the pier can be a real job. You can buy these carts at almost any hardware store. They have different kinds. You want to make sure your wheels are large enough because sometimes the wood can be hard on the wheels, so good wheels in the back. Smaller wheels in the front, you might need to haul it back on some piers. What I do is I have three things I set up. I set up a tackle box, which has one side of my tackle box, I have all my bait fishing equipment, hooks, sinkers, all the different stuff. The other side of my tackle box is artificial lures, if I'm going to do artificial fish. I always carry a cooler. I say everybody should do that. The other thing is if you catch a fish and you want to keep it and fillet it, I take the fish as soon as I can. I take it over to fish cleaning station. I fillet out the fish. I carry a bunch of Ziploc bags with me. They're put in the Ziploc bag and it goes on ice. So the stuff stays good basically from the time I catch it to the time I'm ready to eat it. As I said, pier fishing, first thing I tell people is keep it simple. I've always believed keep it simple. You don't need a lot of expensive rods and reels. You need the best you can afford, I would recommend, but you don't need fancy stuff. And there's just a few basics that once you learn them, you can have success in most piers. And the first thing is, piers have four environments, almost all Southern California piers. And one is that the inshore from the surf line to about a third of the way out is where you catch surf fish. And so you catch croakers, you catch barred surf perch, catch some small sharks, rays, that type of thing. The end of the pier in the deepest water is where you catch your pelagics, your Pacific mackerel, your jack mackerel, jack smelt, bonita, if you're lucky, a yellowtail once in a while. In the middle part of the pier, you're going to get a little bit of the inshore species and you're going to get the deeper water species. But you also, that middle part of the pier, a lot of people's favorite fish is a halibut. And that's the area most halibut. You don't have to go out to the end to catch halibut. It's more like in the middle of most of the piers, about the mid-pier section. And you're still going to get some croakers. You're also going to get some additional kinds of perch. The fourth area of a pier basically is the piling area. And the piling's like an artificial reef. It's covered with barnacles, covered with mussels, and the fish come in to feed on those. And all around those mussels you find little shrimp and you find little crabs. Well, fish are feeding on those. An area I always like to fish, and they call me the perch king, or used to call me perch king, is that I try to fish down right by the pilings as much as I can, using mussels because mussels are on the pilings, using worms such as bloodworms or lugworms because there's worms around those pilings, and ghost shrimp. Now there aren't ghost shrimp down there, but they love ghost shrimp. If you're fishing at the end of the pier and you're after mackerel or something, you don't need to worry about having bloodworms or shrimp. What you want to use out there is mackerel like to hit on pieces of mackerel, almost like cannibalistic. And so a little piece of mackerel is going to catch you, and then strips of squid, and that's good for mackerel. If you're in the mid-pier section and you're fishing for halibut, you almost always want to have live bait. So I tell people to get a little net, and they have nets in the store and they have aerators in the store. So you take a net, you buy a 5-gallon bucket, you get an aerator, you come out, you drop your net down about 3 feet underneath the surface of the water, and you put some bread in there or a pizza dough, something like that. Little smell will come up, anchovies will come up, small fish. You bring those up to the top in your net, you put them in your 5-gallon bucket with an aerator, that's your live bait. And now you can go after the halibut. The halibut, a lot of times they hang between the pilings. You'll have pilings, and there'll be a little depression. And they hang right down the bottom of that depression. They're predators, they're attack predators. So they see an anchovy or something up above and they shoot up and grab that anchovy. Some people troll the piers. What they do is they walk along the pier with their bait. Just like if they're in a boat, only they're on a pier and you can't do it if it's too crowded, obviously. but they troll a pier and use that to try to catch a halibut. So what kind of fish do you want? What size pier, what section of the pier you're going to go to? What kind of bait? And what do you want? And that's probably the basic questions about if you're going to become a good pier fisherman, a good pier rat, is to know what you're doing, because the old story is true. 10% of the fishermen catch 90% of the fish because they know what they're doing. They know the right bait. They know the right. You can't follow the fish around like you can in a boat. You can't walk 2 miles up the coast if you're surf fishing. You're stuck in that pier, so you need to know on a pier what sections of the different kinds of fish are going to be located if they're there. They're not always there. Sometimes they're gone. You're not going to catch anything. But if they're there, that's the best. Know what kind of fish you want. Know what kind of bait to use. But they're not trash fish. They're important to our ecosystem. So here we go. We're going to drop it back down.
Here. Got it?
Yep.
I'll take the camera. You need more rope?
Come on, come out of there. There he goes.
Yay!